Hello and welcome to the Fit Show. My name is Kim Odo and I'm here with IFBB Pro Lori Vanneman, and we're here today to show you some glute exercises. We're going to show you in specific 4 glute exercises to help to shapen and tone the glutes. A lot of times when I have clients contact me, especially if it's female clients wanting to get into better condition, one of the areas of concern is normally the glutes and hamstrings. For competitors, it's also a big concern. A lot of times shows are won and lost when a athlete turns around, faces the back. Then of course you can see the conditioning of the glutes and the hamstrings, which is normally one of the tougher areas to tighten down and to get into good shape. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you 4 glute exercises, and then we'll come back at the end and we'll summarize it for you to kind of tie them all into to make some sense for you. Today what we're going to start with is we're going to start with a lying glute exercise. It's called the lying straight leg glute press. And what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate the proper form and function on how to do this properly. Once again, we always like to preface our exercises by saying please stretch for 5 to 10 minutes prior to any leg exercise or any upper body exercise for that matter. But we want to try to stretch, warm the areas up. Sometimes it's not a bad idea to walk on a treadmill for possibly 5 to 10 minutes to get the blood flowing to the area, get the area loose, get the area warm. So let's go ahead and get started now and show you how to do proper glute pressing. What we're going to do is we're going to take a flat bench. We're going to have Lori lie flat on her stomach, holding right up here at the top end of the bench, keeping her pelvis and the stability core muscles of her torso straight. Your feet are off so that the end of the bench falls about mid-thigh. Your legs are together and they're sitting back tight. Now you have 2 ways that you can do this. You can keep your feet together, squeezing up from down, coming up, squeeze, hold for 1 second, and coming straight back down. Or you can spread your feet slightly apart here, coming up, squeeze, hold. This will activate a little bit more of the hamstrings, releasing at the glute, coming back down nice and slow. So on all concentric movements, we want to allow your body to lower things down at a slow pace. So your range of motion stays consistent. 1 to 2 seconds on the way up, hold it for a 2 to 3 second count, and then let it back down slowly in the same 2 second count coming down. What we're going to do is we're going to let Lori once again describe what she focuses on and how she squeezes her glutes and the range of motion she goes through while she's doing her exercise.
What I notice most of all is when my legs are together, you can't bring your legs as high up. You're isolating the glutes, as Kim mentioned. You definitely don't want to lift your hips, your pelvis off the bench. That will then go right into the low back. No low back. We want to isolate the glutes. So it's a very small movement. You're concentrating on exhaling and squeezing the glutes, holding, and slowly down. A little bit more of an isolation exercise. Just like I said, very small movement. What I also notice is that when my legs are apart, as Kim mentioned, it goes a little bit lower into the hamstrings. You're able to bring your legs, you have a little more freedom to bring them slightly higher. Again, not bringing the hips off the bench, only squeezing the glutes into the hamstrings. But again, you have a little more freedom with your legs apart to bring them a little bit higher and then slowly lower them down.
So Lori brings about some good points of emphasis. Number 1, keep your torso flat to the bench. Anytime the legs come up too high, you're going to touch into your spinal erectors. A lot of times you get that lactic acid buildup and you start to get that pump in your lower back. It's a very uncomfortable pump. And number 2, making sure not to arch your back too high. So don't raise your back up too high off. Once again you're causing a curvature of the spine. Down here, you're going to end up pushing blood and lactic acid down in through the low back, and you're going to get that same pump feeling. So make sure you keep your angle slightly up. Make sure you keep your hips in. Raise up nice and slowly. Come straight back down. That's our range of motion, and this is our glute exercise for right now. And she will demonstrate now with just a couple more movements. and we'll finish that off.
That's all there is to it.
We'd like to show you another exercise for glute training. This one called a band side walking. Now what you're going to do is you're going to start, they make a lot of different tensions for these type bands. These bands can go anywhere from a black, which is the tightest, to a blue, to a green, to a red. So anytime you're doing an exercise that involves any kind of weight or involves bands, always start off with a band that allows you full range of motion, allows you to do it in the proper form and function, and where when you get to the end of your exercise, whether it's stepping side to side or rep range, your last 2 or 3 steps should start to get to be a little bit tough. Now normally we would pick an area in our facility, or if you're in a gym in your facility, pick an area where you have 10 to 15 yards or approximately 20 steps that you have available for you, where you can go down 20 steps and back 20 steps. We're going to shorten the range of motion just due to the fact that our camera won't go that far, but we're going to shorten our range of motion just to give you an idea of how the range of motion goes. So what Lori's going to do is she'll step 3 steps to one, come back the other. Naturally, when Lori is going one way, she is leading with one foot. When she comes back the other way, she is leading with the other foot. So the idea is to make sure that both legs get the same amount of work. Once again, we're doing independent leg work. So you're working one glute area, going one way, that being the left glute, coming back being the right glute. Now, I found in my personal experience, this targets a great area for girls. So if Lori will turn a little bit to the side, what we're trying to do is we're trying to target the area of the glute that hits the glute where it ties in to the hamstring. That's a tough area sometimes for girls to help to both A, tone and condition, and B, add lean muscle tissue. There's not a lot of exercises, let's say for instance a stable exercise like a machine, that allows you to get into this range of motion. The nice thing about the bands is you have more range of motion, more flexibility in your exercise. So what it's going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to change your positioning a little bit. You can squat down a little bit, come up a little bit, change your feet positioning a little bit so that you target the specific area you are trying to hit. So what you want to do is move your feet, move your body, move your legs, move your range of motion so that you feel it right in that glute hamstring tie-in area. For athletes competing, this is a very important area because that's a distinct area that shows conditioning, and it shows the definition of the glute, the hamstring tying in, and it blends that leg in nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by showing you. Lori will start over here to the right hand side. Put your feet facing forward. Once again, your feet are straight, legs are straight. You can keep a slight bend to your knees. You don't want to over accentuate your bend because then you're going to be changing the range of motion where you're going to be feeling. You're going to change your target area. So slight bend to your knees, and what you're going to do is you're going to step forward, stretching your band. The follow foot comes right behind it, and you keep your movement consistent. So don't step and stop. It's a step and a consistent movement. And you want to stretch that band to the full range of movement. Once you hit your end movement, which in this case would be 20 steps, then you start to come back doing the same range of motion. So you basically have your range of motion stepping, stepping, stepping. Now we'll let Lori go ahead and do the range of motion once more. This time we'll let Lori explain to you what she's focusing on, her body, how she's keeping her body posture, her range of motion, and her form.
As Kim mentioned, a few of the things I always focus on when I'm doing this exercise. Form, always very important in making the exercise most effective for the area that you're targeting. In this case, as Kim mentioned, the glutes and hips. Women, you all know what I'm talking about. These are areas that we're all focused on and hard to isolate. So feet stay parallel, as Kim mentioned, slight bend in the knees. The other thing I usually tell my clients and that I think about is keeping those abs tight. Just because, again, when something starts to fatigue, usually that low back, especially glutes, the low back may take over. So don't push so far that you turn those feet out, because then you're using the quad, changing, as Kim mentioned, the area that you're focusing on. hips, and glutes. So and the other thing is to keep constant resistance, as Kim mentioned. Keep it moving. You'll start to feel a nice burn. Usually when people start this, they go, oh, this is kind of easy. As you get to about rep 10, you start going, okay, there's a fire right here in the glutes. Most of my female clients ask where they can get one of these bands, because it is, again, one of those areas that most of us find hard to work and hard to isolate. And normally, as Kim mentioned, you just keep going across the length of a room, hopefully at least 20 steps. And when you get there, go back the other way. Simple as that.
Now, just remember, try to find an area in your facility where you have some free space, where you won't have to walk around things or go on detours. You want to try to take a straight line. Sometimes it may be 20 steps down, 20 steps back. You may not be enough. You may have to do another 20 steps down, 20 steps back. So you want to use a timing pattern that allows you so that when you get down with your right lead, if your right lead leg is your start, then when you get down, you want those last 4 steps, 3 steps to start to really burn. Then when you come back, same thing. If your lead leg is your left leg, you want it to be where the last 3 steps are really starting to burn. And then you can catch your breath for 90 seconds to 2 minutes, get up and repeat the process. And that's our band side walking. And we're here today to show you another glute exercise. This exercise being a glute curl with a stability ball. What we're going to do is we're going to use the stability ball to place Lori's heels on while she's doing a glute squeeze, so that she squeezes and tightens her glute, similar to what you do on a flat bench, just using a different angle and a different line of structure for your glutes. We're going to set this right down here. We're going to let Lori go ahead and get in position if the ball doesn't roll away from us.
Excuse me, I need to adjust my microphone here.
Okay, so what you're going to do is make sure you have the ball stable on the floor. If you have someone nearby who can hold the ball for you, have them hold the ball for you. If not, use your feet to hold the ball stable. What Lori's going to do is she's going to keep her feet positioning together. She's going to keep her legs in here, keep her back flat to the floor, her hands stabilizing and balancing her torso. She's going to raise her body up, squeeze through the glutes, and come right back down out, and come back in together, and straight back down. So what you want to do is align your feet so that your feet sit right at the outer edge of the ball. That will allow you or enable you to roll the ball forward, hold it for 1 second while you're in a squeezing motion, and then come back nice and slowly. So once again, we're going to allow Lori to explain to you what she's focusing on, how she's holding her core stability muscles, and how she's going through her range of motion, so you get a little bit better feel of what the actual person doing it is feeling. Okay, Lori?
Okay, as you're pushing your glutes up, the way to keep the ball from moving, if you don't have a partner to help you learn this exercise, dig those heels into that ball, squeezing the glutes up. You're also using the hamstrings in this position, rolling the ball out and squeezing in. Now, if you're just learning, you may just want to do 1 rep and then go back up and do it again. However, if you're more advanced, and this is how I do this exercise, I keep my glutes up so that the whole time you're never releasing those hamstrings and glutes. Digging those heels deep into that ball. The nice thing about using the ball on exercises like this, rather than just using the floor to do a typical bridge, is that you're also using all the stabilizer muscles to keep that ball in place. So rolling out, keeping that glute and hamstring, squeezing the whole time. And then release when you're done.
Now, once again, using this stability ball, we used one specific size of a stability ball. Of course, you have 3 to 4 different sizes of stability balls you can use. Naturally, the higher up your legs get and your pressing movement, the more awkward off the ground the torso stability begins to get. The smaller ball, the little bit easier the torso stability stays. So naturally, use a ball that fits your range of motion for your level of experience. So if you're brand new at this, You might want to use a ball that's a little bit smaller than this one so that your legs are down just a little bit more. The range of motion is not quite such a drastic angle, and you're able to control the ball and control the range of motion a little bit better. And as Lori explained, make sure as you're coming out and you're doing your bridge, make sure you come out, hold it for a second, keep your body stable, come back nice and slowly, the same time range of motion as you're going through it, and set back down nice and easy. Don't get into a range of motion when you're throwing it. You're liable to throw the ball right across the floor. Or come back and drop too quickly because you're going to drop that low back right on the floor. And if you're not on a mat, which coincidentally you should try to always use a mat, that way when you come down, that low back's not pounding on cement or not pounding on a hard surface. So that's our stability ball bridge movement. We like to show you our fourth glute exercise, this being stability ball single leg lunging. What we're doing is we're going to change the angle slightly so that we target the glute hamstring area a little bit more than we do the actual quadricep. A lot of times when people do single leg lunging, they do that to emphasize the exercise being on the quadriceps, the outer heads of the quadricep. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of change the angle a little bit so that it allows you to focus a little bit more on the back leg, which is your glute hamstring stretch. The glute will actually contract, the hamstring will actually stretch, so you'll get a little bit more feel in the glute hamstring. This is a really fun exercise for our female clientele that's out there that's looking for that different exercise that gives them that little different feel. This is a great exercise for that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to show you this exercise, let you take that home, play with it a little bit, adapt it, and adjust it so that you feel it the way we feel it on your particular body or your physique. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the stability ball and we're going to bring the stability ball back. If you're by yourself, you can use a bench, you can use a chair, you can use a bar, anything that's a stable point that's not going to slide out on you, and you're not using this to press off of or lift off of. What you're doing is you're using it as a point of stabilization. It's only to keep your body stable. The ball, if you have someone who's training with you or working with you, they can make sure they hold the ball still for you while you place your foot on the ball. What we're doing is we're going to place your foot flat on it with the instep of your foot flat on the ball. Your lead leg is going to be coming right up to the edge, so as when you go straight down, once again, keeping the knee behind the toe. We don't want to put any kind of excess stress onto the patella. So put your ball at such a distance. As you come down, your leg is on about a 45-degree angle. You're stretching through the glute, you're squeezing through the glute, you're stretching through the hamstring. When you come down, you hold it for 1 second, you roll right straight back up. And you come straight back down and straight back up. So once again, as Lori's done quite well for us here, she's going to show us and tell us exactly what she's focusing on, how she's going through her range of motion, and how the exercise feels as she's going through the range of motion.
Okay, so I call the lunge a woman's best friend, and as many of you know, there's so many different variations. This is just another variation. The nice thing about this one, you're isolating one leg at a time. The foot that's on the ball is also trying to keep yourself stable. So you're, again, using a stability ball, you're using all those stabilizers as well. The other thing to remember, anytime you're doing a lunge, no matter what kind of lunge it is, you never want that knee to come over that toe. So you want to be back far enough so you have a nice 90-degree angle at that knee in front. And again, I want you to think about pushing through that front heel, exhaling as you push up. The nice thing again about this one is that you're really isolating one leg in particular. You can really feel this dig right into that front glute. Just like that, and then of course you would repeat with the other leg.
So as we've shown you with most of our leg conditioning exercises, what we do is I love to emphasize the fact of doing legs independently. You get a chance to stabilize and balance each leg independent of one another. Your range of motion is a little bit better under control because you can actually control the range of motion that your leg goes through, and your dominant leg and your less dominant leg get a chance to balance out a little bit because that less dominant leg has to work just as hard as the dominant to keep up with the rep range that you're doing. Pick a rep range on here. Once again, it may be between 15 and 25. Pick a rep range where when you get to that last 3 reps, you start to feel the burn coming in. And once you get that burn coming in, switch legs, same amount of reps with the other leg. A lot of times, the lead leg, you may want to switch the lead leg from set to set. If you do your first set with your right leg being the start lead leg, next time out, make your left leg be the start lead leg. Sometimes that second leg out has a little bit of burn from the first set that you ran through. So once again, you want to switch them up so each one has the opportunity to be the lead leg and get the same feel that the other one had. So this exercise is a great exercise for toning and shaping. You want to, as Lori told you, you want to switch legs off. Once again, the size of the stability ball can make a difference. The larger the stability ball, the harder it is to balance, the deeper your leg has to go. The smaller the stability ball, the easier it is to balance, the less distance your leg has to travel. And once again, be sure to be careful. Have a bench that's stable. You don't want something that goes out from underneath you so that you lose your balance. So this concludes our leg conditioning exercises for glute. We've had a great time showing you these glute exercises. Please join us again on the Fit Show so we can show you more fun exercises with Kim and Lori. Thank you.
Thanks guys, some more great information on leg conditioning. Now let's go off to the kitchen with David and Alexis and see what they have prepared for us.
Welcome to another exciting episode of The Fit Show. I'm David Ellis.
I'm Alexis Ellis.
I'm Tanya Dover.
And you're going to be cooking again with gourmet fitness food. Now today we're going to make one of my favorites, our chicken Cobb salad. Now everyone has had a salad, and a few of you have probably had a Cobb salad, but there's something quite special about ours, especially when we actually teach you how to make it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the mystery out of making a Cobb salad. We're going to make it high in protein. We're going to use all the right ingredients, and we're going to do something that you've never done before. We're going to make our own dressing. And that's very important because the dressing that we make is absolutely phenomenal. So Tanya's going to get started right now with all the ingredients. Now, why don't you tell them what exactly you need to get started to make an incredible Cobb salad?
Well, Cobb salad is, we use romaine lettuce, which is, I think, a great lettuce to use. As well, we of course have tomatoes. We're gonna have carrots. We're gonna include a few other things that make it a Cobb salad. We're gonna use black olives and cucumbers, of course. We're gonna have an actual egg as part of it. Once again, increasing that protein content and lots of quality, high protein chicken breast.
Now, one thing about our chicken breast that is kind of unique. When you go to any store or when you order chicken breast from even a supplier, it still has a little bit of fat on it. I don't know if you've ever noticed that.
The boneless, skinless?
Yeah, even if you order a skinless, boneless chicken breast. So we actually take cutting shears and we cut the remainder of that fat off that chicken because we are primarily interested in just the protein. We don't need the chicken fat. So that's something that I want everyone to take the time to do is grab the chicken, pull it out of whatever packaging this is, take it to the sink, rinse cold water over it, and cut the fat off of it. And that's very important in terms of chicken breast, chicken thighs. Even if you use steak, you want to get any fat that you can see and cut off, you get it out because that's not the fat you want. The fat that you want in your diet is going to come from this Cobb salad. This is a good fat, an avocado. And that's one of the reasons why on my Cobb salad, I always make sure I put an avocado on it because that is a fat that I want. And because most of the meals that I eat are so low in fat, and most of the meals that we use in our cooking service, gourmet fitness food, are low in fat, you need to get your healthy fats. So this is a healthy fat.
You also have to include the fats, like David was saying, when you don't have that much fat in your diet, and good fat. So it comes from olive oil, and one thing that our dressing has is olive oil in it. So it also has a really delicious flavor. The extra virgin, that's the one that we like to use. It has a specific flavor and it's a very good fat. So we'll include that in our dressing. So make sure that you have all these ingredients at home.
Now, if you take a look, you can see romaine lettuce how it comes. A lot of times I always take out the outside part of the romaine lettuce because it always kind of looks a little dry and frayed, because I'm more interested in getting the heart. So what you're going to see, our master chef, is she's going to cut off the end. We don't need this part. And then what she's going to do is start chopping it. And there's a particular way you can chop the lettuce to make it easier to, you know, cut it in little bite-sized pieces as opposed to just breaking off the leaves. So take a good look. Now while she's doing that, one of the things a lot of you guys do, and gals, whether it be bodybuilding, figure, or fitness, is competitions. Alexis, if you don't already know, is a new IFBB Figure Pro. Every time she has to do a competition, one of the things that I insist is that the day before, and if it's a morning show and the finals are in the evening, and she's been lucky enough to always make the finals, have a salad in between to push everything out of your system. If you're eating all this chicken and you're eating steak the day before, you need something to get that food out of your intestines and out of your system so your stomach isn't bloated. A good salad is one thing, an apple, something that is what I can consider more than just a fiber, but something that actually is roughage. And roughage and fiber are the two important things that we all need. That is not only good for competing, but also good for your general health. If you talk to a doctor, that's one of the problems Americans have. Now let's look at how she's cutting that. See what she's doing? She's cutting it, and once again, she's not cutting off her fingers. She still has all 5 of her fingers, or 6. Doesn't one of those hands have 6 fingers? Anyway, so she has 1 to spare. And basically, she's just cutting it in such a way where, you know, once you cut it like that, it's done. She's just gonna take it and toss it in a bowl. Now we have a salad spinner in which after she rinses the salad and cleans it, she spins it and it takes all the water out of it so you don't have a wet salad just kind of, what happens to it? It gets wilty. That's the word I'm looking for. It wilts. So let's take a look at the chicken. There's our skinless, boneless chicken breast. You take all the fat off, and then basically what we're gonna do is bake that. Now when I bake my chicken, it's basically always the same formula. How long do we normally bake it? She's the baking queen.
We bake the chicken for about 60 minutes, but that's because it's a large quantity of chicken. But regardless, why not make a large quantity of chicken breast? So you could always have it at your disposal.
Great idea.
You could have a chicken breast salad, you could have a chicken breast with some basmati rice and some vegetables. You could just have a chicken breast and some asparagus. But it's a great thing to have in your diet, so why not make a batch of chicken breast? Chicken breast could easily be dried out. It's being that it doesn't have that much fat on it in the first place. It's a white meat and it's easily dried out. So we like to cook it in white wine, and it gives it a lot of flavor and also helps keep the moisture in the chicken itself.
And that's very important. When she talks about dried out and moisture, she's saying when it's cooked and you sit down and you cut your chicken open, everyone's had that dry chicken taste where it's like leather. Our chicken always is juicy and tender, and that's the way we cook it. So what you see Tanya doing, she just took white Zinfandel. Now, you don't have to get a fancy white Zinfandel or a fancy white wine. Just get a little cheap one, and you can use it for cooking. I like Zinfandels. So you're gonna put it in your baking dish, and let's bring that over here so they can see what your baking dish looks like. Basically, you have just enough of the wine where it's not even halfway high above the chicken. It's a quarter of the way. So you wanna just have enough where when you put this chicken in here and you cover it, because that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna cover it with aluminum tinfoil and you season it. The wine is going to bake the chicken and it's gonna evaporate, kind of steaming it and giving it a tenderness and cooking it at the same time. And you always do that. Never put your chicken, this is my opinion, in the oven unless you don't have something to steam up and keep it tender.
So you can use different marinades as well. If you don't, we use an herb garlic marinade at times. If you want somewhat of a neutral flavor for your chicken, with a chicken salad, a neutral herb garlic chicken breast is a great combination because it is flavorful enough for it to be enjoyable, but at the same time will not take away from, let's say, the balsamic vinaigrette dressing that we're going to use, which is where all the flavor is coming from.
Now, why don't you describe what she's putting on the chicken?
So once again, we're looking at seasonings. Seasonings are very important. Don't be afraid to season your food. The only thing that you should really be conscious of and cautious of is salt. So you could sprinkle some salt on your chicken, but you use black pepper. There's no sodium in that. Use garlic. Use onion. We also use another.
Now that's onion powder, not onion salt. Everything is a powder.
Yeah, these are onion. This is granulated onions powder, and we also use a seasoning salt called Lawry's that is lower in sodium due to the fact that this is black pepper. It's a combination of black pepper and sodium in this jar right here.
So you don't want to use regular Lawry's. Regular Lawry's has a lot more sodium than the Lawry's with black pepper. I only use two things that have a lot of salt. Lawry's is one, garlic salt is the other, and I use it very sparingly. So you're just going to give it just enough flavor. So I don't even have regular table salt in my house.
No, what we have is lots of seasonings that are going to give your food lots of flavor. A chicken breast doesn't have to be bland. A chicken breast doesn't have to be dry to be healthy. There's an easy way of doing this, and that is adding moisture via the white wine, the marinade via herb garlic, teriyaki. So many different flavors out there that you can use as a marinade. But be careful on the sodium content. Make sure you read those labels when it comes to picking your marinade. But then use your black pepper, use your garlic, use your onion powder. Use those things to spice it up. And before you know, you'll have a delicious chicken salad that that you'll really like.
One thing I don't want to forget: when you bake something in the oven, you need to know what to put the temperature on. First, you preheat the oven. Always preheat the oven for 10 to 15 minutes. Then, I always put my chicken. What do you put the chicken on?
We cook it at 375 degrees.
375. And as she said, because we're cooking for a large number of people, a lot of times we cook it for 60 minutes. You can take about 5 minutes off that, cook it for 55, even 50 minutes, but the temperature is going to stay the same. Preheat it to 350, cover it in the tin. 375. Sorry about that. 375. Pull it out. With the tin foil on, open it up. The chicken should be tender, cooked through the middle, and perfect. And check it. Cut the chicken in the middle. Make sure it's white in the middle and not red or pink. Now, we're getting to the part. Now remember, she just made the chicken. On this right here, this little cutting block, little notes to know about proper kitchen etiquette. You have a cutting block for your fruits and vegetables, and then you have a cutting block for your meats. Even when it comes to your cutting block for your meats, you want to make sure it's different than, let's say my fish cutting block should be different than my steak cutting block should be different from my chicken. So you might want to put little tabbies on it, because sometimes that becomes important when you're talking about health concerns. You don't want to sometimes use the same cutting block for meats as you do for fruit and vegetables, because then you're looking at cross-contamination, and that's, you don't want to get upset stuff, or worse. So we come back. Tanya is now cutting up the tomatoes. So remember, we said our Cobb salad has lettuce, romaine lettuce, tomato, cucumber, carrots, avocado. Then we use a little bit of olives, and am I forgetting something? Eggs. We boil the eggs, and the eggs are boiled. And I hope you guys know how to boil eggs.
We're not going to show you how to boil
I'm not going to take the time to show you how to boil an egg. I'm assuming everyone can boil an egg. If you can't, maybe we'll send you to a website that tells you. But you boil water, you put an egg in it, and you let it boil for 10 minutes.
No, about 2 or 3.
Well, I'm 10. She's right. They always talk about a 2-minute egg or a 1-minute egg, so I know that my eggs boil a little hard. All right, so she's cutting it, and little bitty. She's not exactly, like a Ginsu chef, but you can see how she's cutting it. So she kind of cuts the cucumber in half and then cuts it in little wedges that look like this. You can cut it down. I cut it down the middle in a little fork. So everybody has a preference.
Once again, food is enjoyable, and looking at all the different colors. We have greens, we have reds, we have the black olives. We're gonna have a wonderful, delicious avocado, which gives a lot of flavor. We have the orange from the carrots, and then we have the eggs. Cobb salad is a great thing that you could have off season and on season. I mean, I eat salads all the time. Everyone eats salad. If anyone thinks about healthy food, the first thing they think about is a salad. But the thing is that you should always add protein to every meal. So chicken salad is the way to go. Tuna salad, salmon salad. There's a lot of different things, but make sure you have protein with every meal, particularly with your salad, because in reality, a salad is something that we should use to help our digestive system. It really, and particularly, does not have that many nutrients in it. So the chicken is something that adds the vitamins, the protein, all the things that we need to have a balanced meal. So without the chicken, with the salad, you're actually not eating much at all. So remember that when you're having a salad.
Well, yeah, you're definitely not getting your protein. I mean, you know, thank goodness we put the avocado in and tomatoes, so that adds more antioxidants and a bunch of other essential fatty acids. So, and then you have the egg. Now, a lot of people like to take the yolk out of the egg when they add it to their salads. You can do that if you like, but if you're not that picky, you can leave the yolk in and cut it up. It adds more flavor. Back over here. So while she's doing that, I'm gonna get everything ready for her for the dressing.
So now we're gonna start making our balsamic vinaigrette, which is an absolute delicious dressing to have. You know, a lot of people like Italian, French, but some of those dressing, you know, may be heavy. This particular dressing is something that you make yourself. You can actually decide how you're gonna make it, the flavoring, but it uses.
First we have the olive oil.
Olive oil, which is once again a way of us getting our healthy fat when we're eating this particular meal, making it a nutritionally balanced meal.
Now I only cook with olive oil, so when you see me put something in a skillet, 100% chance it's going to be olive oil. So Tanya, olive oil in the blender. There's one thing. The next thing she's going to grab for the blender is balsamic vinegar. So you can always go to a restaurant and order oil and vinegar on your salad. Can't go wrong. So there's a reason for that. Olive oil, healthy fat. Vinegar, it has to do with acidity, how acidic it is, and it goes well with the olive oil. And when you eat, there's just no calories in it. Let's just make it simple. Vinegar has that tart, sweet and tart type of taste.
Particularly balsamic vinegar has that.
And it has a good robust flavor. So you're gonna add a little bit of that.
And when it comes to actually making the balsamic vinaigrette, it's about 50% olive oil and 50% vinegar. So depending on how much you're making, so it's not something that we can tell you exactly how to a cup, or let's say 1 cup of vinegar and 1 cup of olive oil. So that's a great measurement.
And that'll serve a couple people.
That will definitely serve.
You can use regular old mustard, or you can get a fancy kind, but show them how much mustard to put in.
So you're going to use yellow mustard, and the yellow mustard is once again giving it a tart, flavor that is going to balance out the sweetness of the balsamic
And that looks
vinegar.
like about a tablespoon that she put in there. Next we have the honey.
And the honey once again is something that is going to add a little bit more sweetness to it. So this is a sweet and tart flavor in the dressing.
Now, excuse me, if you were doing a pre-contest show, you're not going to love. That's fructose, by the way. She's adding a little fructose to it. You could use the fructose and not use the honey. And that way, you don't have to worry about it raising your blood sugar level too much, or it being contradictory to your diet. Or you can use no fructose at all and use equal, and that has no calories. So there's a lot of variations you can do on this dressing. But there has to be some type of sweetener in here
to balance out the vinegar.
Right, the vinegar and the mustard, very tart. So it's a sweet and tart tasting type of dressing, but it's very good. All right, then you're gonna turn it on. Now, for time purposes, I don't need to turn the blender on for you. You know how to turn the blender on. You're gonna let it mix. How long do you normally let that blender mix that together?
Oh, probably about a minute.
About a minute.
Yeah, to give it good.
So about 60 seconds. And this is what you get. You get something that's kind of brown. Kind of brown.
It's a nice thickness to the dressing. It isn't too heavy, but it's definitely not light, and it's a nice color. That therefore you could see where the balsamic vinegar is a very strong component in the dressing. But overall, the taste, as we said, is a sweet and tart taste. So it adds a lot to your dressing, to your salad. And your salad, as we said before, has a chicken breast, We have an egg right here. Over here you'll see your avocado, good fat once again. And then there's a handful of different vegetables. We have our tomatoes, and we have olives in there. We have carrots, lots of different colors and lots of different components that make it a great filling meal.
Now, one thing I want to add to that is when you make your salad, one of the things you want to do, especially when you're making the dressing, is keep tasting it to make sure it's as sweet as you want or not too sweet. So it's better to kind of be real slow with the sweetening of the dressing and then keep tasting it until it's exactly the way you want it. And then the chicken, we cut the chicken up in little pieces. So you could just leave the whole chicken breast there if you want to, but I cut it up because I'm lazy and I like to eat my food really quickly. Also, you can add sunflower seeds. That's a little added bonus. Or you can add little almond slivers. So there's lots of variations you can do to this particular Cobb salad.
To add texture to it, to add color, and to add spice, and to add just fun. Because food should be fun and food should be nutritious. And that's what we have here. We have good fat, we have high protein, we have lots of flavor, lots of color, we have eggs, which is a protein that we need as well. And overall, something that's very good and easy to digest.
So, once again, chicken Cobb salad. Thanks for spending some time with us at Gourmet Fitness in our kitchen. And I hope you remember everything we talked about in terms of making a chicken Cobb salad. And we here at the Fit Show want to give a very special thank for tuning in again on our second time showing you how to cook something very special to us and something very healthy for you. So I'm David.
I'm Alexis.
I'm Tanya Dover. Thanks for watching.
And that wraps up another episode of The Fit Show. Tune in next week for your one and only bodybuilding and fitness TV show on the net. Until then, I'm your host, Jeff Etherson, sitting in for Hannah Gordon. Thanks for watching.